Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brother T, Freemason cigar enthusiast with VCR, and we got the tapes rolling on another cigar review video for you folks today. We're smoking the Polpetta by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Mr. Steve Sacca. Polpetta is Italian for meatball, and this is a very interesting stick because it takes cuttings from their Mi Querida, as well as their Tricky Trocca iteration thereof, and their Umbagog, and it takes that loose filler and it rolls them into this cigar. And we'll go through the blend a little bit later. Why not do it now? It's a small cigar. They use a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper and a Mexican San Andreas binder. We're excited for it. Initial impressions? It's a very firm pack, a wildly firm pack. And it strikes you, it's the same color as a oil leather glove. And I said the same thing about the Tricky Trocca. It's just rich, deep, oiled leather in terms of color, but also in terms of really oily sheen or finish. It strikes you as very oily. It has visible but very tight seams, broad double cap, and a very fine tooth. Pre-line aroma? It smells like straight cut chewing tobacco for those of you that are familiar with that smell. And wax paper. A little earth. I'm excited for it. Initial impressions: earth, wood, slight red pepper chili flake there. Not so much in terms of heat right now at least, but certainly in terms of tasting note. Draws a little stiff, almost like a thick milkshake through a straw. It's very thick smoke, dense. It's textured, not quite creamy, but also not oily. We'll see where it goes. All right, everybody. About an inch in on the Polpetta, the meatball, and it's fantastic. Haven't had a lot of short filler sticks. I am an equal opportunity cigar smoker though, so I'll burn them all down the same. But I'm impressed so far, and I think a lot of that's just because of the Liga and really the bits and pieces it's pulling from in terms of existing product lines. The flavors start off pretty pepper forward, and by that I mean we have black pepper, we have a little bit of red pepper, but those peppers kind of move to the background and are replaced with a little bit more of a subtle spice. There's also a little bit of a coffee note that's coming on. We're still keeping a little bit of the earth and the woodiness that has been there. And there's the slightest of cream components that's starting to round it all together. We'll see how it continues. All right, folks. Getting to the point where we can undress this guy. Remove the band. All right. There we go. And we can talk about that band a little bit. Adequate paper stock. It has some printed patterning in terms of background. A rich color palette seems to edge on creams and golds. It has some embellished elements. And there's this little meatball and fork at the back there. So just a nice little attention to detail. It's a quality band. Walking through some of the flavors that we're getting. It's been a pretty dynamic stick so far. Core notes really are wood, earth, and there's a slight coffee now that's pretty consistent. Other flavors of note, there's a baking spice that includes bits of vanilla at times. There's also a cream and a little bit of a heat that comes intermittently. It jogs around a little bit in the blend. There's two spots in particular after the inch mark and probably just entering the last third, if we can divide this little guy into thirds, where it starts to show up a little bit more than it has during previous times in the blend. But it doesn't live too long into the finish for those of you that are sensitive to cigars with a little bit of heat to them. And there's still some black pepper in there. Moving into the cigar wrap-up, construction was fantastic. Ash, it held on an inch if not greater increments. It's still holding on. To me, being a short filler cigar, that's pretty astounding, and it certainly exceeded expectations. Burn, it required no touch-ups, and it's been by and large razor sharp the entire time. Draw, it's been thick, it's been dense, and it's not quite oily or creamy. It is a little chewy. There is a texture to the smoke though. It's very unique, fantastic, very engaging. In terms of strength and body, I'd put them both at a medium. Doesn't quite get to a medium plus for me. Today we smoked the Polpetta by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. It is, for clarity purposes, an event-only cigar. So what does that mean? That means you have to go to an event, but not during COVID, so it's usually like a virtual event, a release party, or folks that are selling bundles will often toss this in as a promotional item. So be on the lookout for that. It is very much worth it if you're able to pick some of these up and purchase. You'd be very happy with it. I'm Brother T with VCR, Freemason Cigar Enthusiast, and as always, smoke 'em if you got 'em.